Happy St. Paddy's Day, everybody. May the look of the Irish smile on you. I'm not wearing green today, actually, so I don't really have the Irish spirit in me. But I have applied for my Irish citizenship, which I think was held up by COVID. But you hear Australian? How is this Australian? Hello, Aria. Nathan, Nate. I see Jeez Louise and Akash as well. What up, everybody? How are we? Alrighty. Let's see. Are the biotest scores going to be posted tonight? We have, yeah, I don't know. I have to look at them. Probably not, though, because the problem is I need to get through the FRQs or the short answers, and it's been taking me longer than I thought. I see you've given me some push-ups to do. However, I will be holding off for 1 second on those while we wait for people to get here. Because remember, today is office hours. Oh yeah, and I forgot to post one more thing. We are gonna do post something in the Discord. Ice boat race Friday is the official date. So it'll be more likely that the grades for the test to be posted Friday. Yeah, so I think I'm gonna push him back to posting on my Friday. So the plan will be so you'll know before the weekend. We talk a lot. I use eye color way too often as an example when we talk about genetics, but clearly, it's not that simple. The genetics of human eye color is much more complex than previously thought. An international team of researchers led by King's and Erasmus University Medical Center, Rotterdam, have identified 50 new genes for eye color in the largest genetic study of its kind to date. The study, published today in Science Advances, involved genetic analysis of almost 195,000 people across Europe and Asia. These findings will help to improve the understanding of eye diseases such as pigmentary glaucoma and ocular albinism, where eye pigment levels play a role. In addition, the team found that eye color in Asians with different shades of brown is genetically similar to eye color in Europeans, ranging from dark brown to light blue. This study builds on previous research in which scientists had identified a dozen genes linked to eye color, believing there to be many more. Previously, scientists thought that variation in eye color was controlled by one or two genes only, with brown dominant over blue. See, this is the problem. This is what I had learned originally about genetics and eye color, which is why I always use this as an example. I was like, oh, well, you have brown eyes, which is dominant over blue, but now this is a myth. Busted. Myth busted. Co-senior author Dr. Piro Heisey, Kings said, the findings are exciting because they bring us to a step closer to understanding the genes that cause one of the most striking features of the human face, which has mystified generations throughout our history. This will improve our understanding of many diseases that we know are associated with specific pigmentation levels. Co-senior author Dr. Manfred Kaiser, Erasmus University Medical Center, Rotterdam, said, this study delivers the genetic knowledge needed to improve eye color prediction from DNA as already applied in anthropological and forensic studies, but with limited accuracy for non-brown and non-blue eye colors. What'd you see? So, Ashi, for the Ed puzzle, why is it that muscles aren't where glucose is absorbed from the food we eat? because glucose is absorbed from the food we eat by the small intestines. The glucose is delivered to the muscles once it's absorbed. So think of it like this. You've got small intestine and you've got your glucose, which will make like little blue dots. Glucose is in the food you eat. It's getting digested. Now you got all this sugar here in your small intestine. What's going to happen is this is going to be absorbed, right, into the blood, into some capillaries. We'll call this a capillary, right? So now this is in the capillary. And then you've got say this is a muscle here. Now the glucose is going to travel through the bloodstream and eventually get absorbed by the muscle there. So the glucose is absorbed from the food here, but it's absorbed from the bloodstream by the muscle. Ahana, for number 1 under the questions, how are nutrients broken down in your digestive system? You were confused about what value to put for B and give the explanation. Yeah, exactly, Ashi. So Ahana, let me think if I'm trying to figure it out. Ahana, what are you referencing? Which question number 1? Is it on the digestive system video lecture? Is this the Ed puzzle? Is this the gizmo? Gizmo? Let me pull it up real quick. What up, DJ? How goes it? All right, so Ahana, you're having trouble with question. It says for number 1 under the question, how are nutrients broken down in your digestive system? Wait, which question? Which number 1? I'm doing good, DJ. Doing pretty good. Nathan, yeah, the Ed puzzle's off completion. Yeah. It's off completion. Oh, the baked potato? So this is the baked potato one right here, number 1. So what are you asking? The question, how are nutrients broken down in the digestive system? Oh, oops. How did I just lose my place? Click play. What is the final value of complex carbohydrates? That's what you're confused about? So if we go here, let's put it in order. We got mouth, esophagus, stomach, the duodenum of the small intestine, then the rest of the small intestine, then our large intestine, then the rectum and anus. Our small organs, the chief cells and parietal cells are in the stomach, producing the stuff we need there. Gallbladder and pancreas are coming in at the small intestine level. Salivary glands back up here at the mouth. We've got capillaries all throughout our small and large intestines. And then our lymphatic vessels are here in the small intestines absorbing lipids. Okay, that's the setup you should have. Now, no, let's not do full screen mode. The food is a baked potato. Okay? So we give the baked potato. Right? This baked potato is mostly carbohydrates. Okay? We'll play it. Get to listen to the great sounds that this makes as it's digested. Yum, yum, yum. Goes through small intestine. Gets everything. So there's not much lipid, there's not much fat, right? So there's no fat being absorbed, but a lot of the carbs are absorbed, and then the water is absorbed here, and vitamin B and K. And then we reach the end and we get a little poop. And it looks nothing came out. Wait, what? Oh, there it is. The sound is off. Okay. It says the system absorbed 87% of the available calories. The system absorbed 94% of the water, and the resulting stool was solid. So that's pretty good. So what it says, so the question's asking, what is the final value of complex carbohydrates? Okay, so do you know the difference between complex and simple carbohydrates? Probably not, because we haven't actually talked about that yet. So that's actually a tricky one. Does it tell you in here? Probably not. So it was 64 grams of carbohydrates initially, right? But if you go... Yeah, see, initial was 22 and the current is 12.6. So you can kind of see where it says current. That's the final value. Right? Current value is final value. Right? So that means that 87% of the calories were absorbed. So 12, so if you do the math, I bet you that 12.66 divided by 228 is like 12.3%. Nope, it's not. Never mind. Oh, because there was a little protein in there too. Never mind. So this is saying that there is what's up, creepy? What values would you put for the sugars? So this is actually not that confusing. This is actually a little confusing, right? So current. My guess is that what this is trying to get at is that when we're talking about the initial and current, right? Absorbed would be the amount that is brought into the bloodstream, right? This is what's brought in. So the current must be like what's left behind, but that doesn't make any sense how you can have more sugars left than initially started. Like, I don't really get the sugars piece. I don't really actually quite get this. So hold on. If we look at the baked potato initially it says it has 244 total carbohydrate calories. Wait, let's just run it through again real quick. Does this change in real time? No, it doesn't change in real time. Well, so I think if we look at this, but where it says, but the weird thing is when it says current, what is that referring to? All right, the analysis chimes. Let's just see it through the real time here. Oh, hold on. All right, let's watch this. Okay, if we pause it, notice that what's happening in the mouth. So the amylase that's released from your saliva, or released from the salivary glands and is in your saliva, is going to be breaking down the starches in the potato and turning them into sugar. So what we're seeing happen right away in the mouth is that what's going on is that the complex carbohydrates are going down because they're being digested by the saliva, and the sugars are going up because now that's converting from starch, which is complex, to sugar, which is a simple, right? From polymer to monomer. Okay, so that's what's happening. So if we go forward, right? So once it's out of the mouth, you can see that there was a big conversion. And so now there's more sugar in the bolus of food that we've chewed up and digested a little bit and swallowed. So some of the complex carbohydrates have transferred to sugar carbs. And then we go forward. Oop. So now once it entered, nothing really happened in the stomach. Right? Nothing really happened in the stomach, but what was actually happening in the stomach is the pepsin was digesting some proteins in the stomach, but the proteins aren't absorbed until they reach the small intestine. So once the chyme, which is now what we call this mixture that leaves the stomach, this chyme enters the small intestine, and this is where you're going to start to see the absorption of all of these nutrients. So you're going to see the sugars start to be absorbed. You're going to see the proteins start to be absorbed. And so I'm actually surprised that we didn't see more protein turn into amino acids in the stomach. Because if we look at pepsin, pepsin does not create amino acids. It breaks down proteins into polypeptide chains. And then the peptide chains are probably broken down into amino acids in the small intestine. So that's why once this enters the small intestine, we start to see an uptick in amino acids, because those smaller polypeptide chains that were created in the stomach by the pepsin breaking the protein down are now being broken down even further in the small intestine into amino acids. But those amino acids will be starting to be absorbed as well. So you can see the amino acids are being absorbed, sugars are being absorbed. There's no fats, so we don't have potato, like a baked potato doesn't have any fat. So nothing is going to happen there. And we see a little bit of water being absorbed here. So if we play this forward, what we should start to see happen as this moves through the small intestine is the sugars be absorbed and the proteins be turned into amino acids and the amino acids be absorbed. That's what we should see happen. All right. Oh, and also some of the carbs are being broken down into more sugars, which are then being absorbed. Amino acids are being absorbed. Water is being absorbed, and then a lot more water gets absorbed here at the end too. Okay. So, when it says, what is the final value of complex carbohydrates? What you're putting for the final value, I believe, is still the 12.6. All right? When it says how many calories of complex carbohydrates were converted into sugars, just 16 minus 213. That's your answer, right? I think. So if you take 213.6 minus 16, 197.6. And the reason why it's 197.6 is because the rest of the absorbed sugar had to come from the complex carbohydrates. Aria, so proteins, pepsin basically unfolds proteins. No, I wouldn't say it unfolds them. It actually degrades them into, it breaks them down into smaller chains. So this is not an unfolding. I mean, it unfolds it a little bit, but on top of unfolding it, it actually breaks it apart as well. It just doesn't break it down into individual amino acids. That happens in the small intestine. If we can find a better diagram. And then what else did you have, Ahana? The question after that, in the figure that we have, that we refer to, it doesn't have any of the small organs, so I was confused about how to build that. Oh, right here? Yeah, you just build it. Basically, you build it incorrectly because they're trying to have you experiment by removing the small intestines and the what else is missing? So it's missing the small intestines, I think, and the gallbladder. Oh, and it looks like it's missing capillaries and stuff, right? So it's saying like remove all this. keep the pancreas, but remove this, remove this, remove this, remove this, remove this, remove this. Wait, what does it have behind? Oh wow, I cannot. That's so blurry. What do they have you keep? Is that the still? Move the rectum, esophagus, and pancreas to the right and insert the stomach so that the system looks like the image at the right. Oh, actually, I just realized I was giving you the wrong numbers for these, Ahana, because it didn't have you set it up entirely correctly. It had you set it up very simplistically. So it actually had you do literally a mouth, an esophagus, and a rectum. Just had you do that. And then it had you put the pancreas on here. What does this even give you? Like nothing can really even happen here.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't get anything. Yeah. Yeah, Akash, this was about the time last year where we went remote. Yep. Because it was, I believe it was March 14th was our last in-person day last year. So it's been over a year now. So if we go back to March of 2020. Yeah, March 12th was our last day last year. So it's been a year, exactly a year since school has been out. Ashi, about the cecum, do humans still have it, but it's just a vestigial structure? Yeah, pretty much. That's kind of the better way. That's like a good way to think about it. Let's see what they describe it. What up, Dylan? What's up, Joe? How's office hours going? Not too bad. A little slow. I'm a little tired today, too. A little bit low energy on my end, unfortunately. So yeah, the way that it seems like the best description for the cecum is that it's an organ that is mostly vestigial in non-herbivores. Hannah, wouldn't the value of the sugars be the current minus initial? Wait, wouldn't the value of the sugars be the current minus initial and not absorbed minus initial? Well, it depends. Depends on what you're asking. For C, how many calories of complex carbs were converted to sugars? Or B, what is the value of the what are the value of the complex carbohydrates? Why is the appendix mentioned when discussing the digestive system? Is it a part of the digestive system? If not, what system is the appendix a part of? So the appendix is part of the, I think it would be classified as an immune system organ, but it is located off of the end of the large intestine. So it's like connected to the digestive system, even though its function is not a digestive system function. So let me show you, like if you look at a diagram of it, let's see, pull up a diagram real quick. See how it kind of just, the appendix sticks off of the end of the large intestine there? So it's like this little nub that sticks off. But its main function is to house beneficial gut bacteria so that it can repopulate the lining of your intestines with the good bacteria. So it's kind of like a harbor for a good bacteria. That's the current hypothesis as its function. Why are there 4 people who have names that start with double A? Wait, who are they? Arya, Ashi, Ahana, and Akash. It's because they get straight A's, my dude. I just thought that if you subtract the current... Hold on, let me prop that. Usually if you subtract the current amount of sugar from the initial, that will tell you how many carbohydrates were converted into sugars. Well, the problem is there's some sugar already in the baked potato initially. So what you're trying to figure out is how many of the complex carbohydrates were converted into sugars. So what you need to do is look at the... Well, for this one, it's different because nothing is absorbed. So in this case, if you hooked it up this way with this structure, you can see that the amount of complex carbs that were converted into sugars would simply be the initial minus the current, yeah. Or the other, yeah, current minus initial. So it looks like It started with 16 sugars and it ended up with 47. So it looks like there's probably like 31, 31 point something. You could also just take 228 and subtract it. You could also subtract the initial complex carbs from the current complex carbs. This should give you the same value as this, actually. Wait, let's look. Is that right? So if you take 228 and subtract 196.68, it gives you 31.32. If you add 16 to that, it gives you 47.32. Yeah. So the answer is 31.32. And you can get that either way by looking at the complex carbs or looking at the sugars. All right. There's my hydration from Jeez Louise and Erebus and Akash and Nathan. Are we starting the endocrine system tomorrow? No. Wait. Yes. Yep. We're going to wrap up a little bit of the digestive system, and then we'll talk briefly. Wait, is it tomorrow? Hold on, let me double check my calendar. Let's see. Oh yeah, it's tomorrow. So tomorrow, our plan. So the goal for Thursday, Friday, that I have on my plan is to debrief the blood sugar regulation and diabetes stuff. I'll have some diagrams and we'll walk through that process, and then do a little bit of endocrine system, and then from there move to talk about our next topic, which is the nutrition. We'll do some stuff on nutrition. Yep, and then there's a quiz on the 25th/26th. So next Thursday, Friday. Jameson is snoozing right now. Jeez Louise, he's in a slumber. I think I'm having some issues with Jameson. I think he's having an allergic reaction to something. I have to figure out what it is, because he's getting like red rash on his belly and a little bit on like the ears and a little under his armpits. And it seems to be that the rash is only appearing on places where he doesn't have very much fur rather. So I'm guessing it's some sort of contact allergy, because whatever the thing is that he's allergic to is touching his skin where the skin is more exposed, right? Which is like on the inner ears where there's not much hair, on the belly where there's not much hair, and then under the armpits. So there's basically three things I can think that it might be. I don't think it's a food allergy, because it seems to be just affecting exposed skin. It's either, and I have my suspicion, it's either our laundry detergent that we're using to wash his blankets and stuff. Could be. I don't think that's the answer. It could be this like enzymatic cleaner spray that we use to clean up. Sometimes when he's being potty trained, if he like pees, we have to use that so it doesn't smell. And we sprayed that on because he peed on his bed. So that could be. I don't think it's that. What I really think it is the shampoo, dog shampoo that we use to give him a bath. That might be what's irritating his skin. So we're gonna kind of figure that out. How many questions is the test? Let's see. It's a quiz, by the way. Let me look. 23 questions. Yep, exactly, Ashi. So Ahana, what Ashi said, it's going to cover 1, A, B, C, and D with the first row of the kudos, which we can pop up real quick. This is what the quiz is on right there. $23 questions on Thursday, Friday of next week. Speaking of allergies, there was apparently research on a protein that can combat allergies. I don't know about that. Akash? Haven't heard it. Let's see if we can look it up. Talking about this. Science alert. Scientists find a natural protein that stops allergies and autoimmune conditions. Recent, March 11th. For the millions of us plagued by hypersensitive, overactive, or downright abusive immune systems, it can feel like you're constantly fighting your own physical self. From incessant allergies to life-threatening anaphylaxis and debilitating autoimmune diseases, the system that's supposed to be protecting us can be problematic when it goes wrong. Now we might be closer to fixing these issues in an entirely new way. Using transgenic mice and cultures of cells taken from human tonsils, researchers have now found evidence of how our bodies might defend against the mistakes that result in conditions such as asthma, food allergies, and lupus. Lupus. What is lupus again? An inflammatory disease caused when the immune system attacks its own tissues. It can affect the joints, skin, kidneys, blood cells, brain, heart, and lungs. Symptoms can vary but include fatigue, joint pain, rash, and fever. Lupus. They found a protein called neurotin produced by immune cells. It acts a bit like an inbuilt boss-level antihistamine. There are over 80 autoimmune diseases. In many of them, we find antibodies that bind to our own tissues and attack us instead of targeting pathogens, viruses, and bacteria, explained immunologist Paula Gonzalez-Figueroa from the Australian National University. We found neurotin suppresses the formation of rogue plasma cells, which are the cells that produce harmful antibodies. We have known for some time that the immune system's regulatory T cells suppress self-targeting antibodies and immunoglobulin E. The antibodies that instigate the antibodies that instigate release of the notorious histamines in response to allergies, but not how. It took Gonzalez Figueroa and her team 5 years to work it out with the help of genetically engineered mice and lab-grown human cells. In another of biology's unusual games of chain reactions, a special class of cells called follicular regulatory T pumps. TFR. Follicular regulatory T. Pumps out neurotin, which turns down production of IgE. This is an antihistamine action. And suppresses other processes that send plasma cells out on self-targeting missions. Mice without the ability to produce neurotin had an increased chance of dying from anaphylaxis when injected with albumin from an egg. These mice, genetically bred to lack neurotin-producing TFR cells, grew a population of faulty plasma cells early in life. These are the cells that developed self-antigens. But when the team treated TFR-deficient mice by injecting neurotin into their vein, they had some striking results. TFR-deficient mice treated with neurotin appeared healthy. Explaining the treatment led to the disappearance of the rogue B-cell population too. The team cautions they're yet to understand the full pathway involved in these immune mechanisms or the effects of neurotin on other cellular processes. While neurotin has been studied in human nervous systems for quite some time, the exact way it triggers cells hasn't been clear. To find out, white cells from human blood and tonsils were analyzed in the presence of the protein, revealing clues on it acting internally. The results could lead to a better understanding of how we might use neurotin in the future to treat immune conditions. This could be more than a new drug. It could be a completely new approach to treat allergies and autoimmune diseases. If this approach was successful, we would not need to deplete important immune cells nor dampen the entire immune system. Instead, we would need to use the proteins our own body uses to ensure immune tolerance. If they're right and neurotin proves safe, it may one day allow the growing number of us facing allergies and autoimmune diseases some peace with our bodies. There's a link to the article. Yes. Published in the journal Cell. Ahana, are we supposed to reset the system before doing question 3 with a tofu, or do we keep the weird on? No, it doesn't say to reset. It just says click reset and then just use the tofu. Yeah, I think you used the same setup as you did here. You do the same thing for number 4. Interesting, Akash. Thanks for the... Thanks for bringing that up. Interesting. Neurotin. I had not heard of neurotin before. Alrighty. All right, let's play a little game, huh? Seems like the questions are limited tonight. Bye, Hana. Have a good night. Akashi recommend it's a 1v1 tournament. Okay. Well, yeah, I was worried about that because I was thinking like it's going to get a little bottleneck. It felt like it might get a little bottlenecked in certain places. So, I think it might be a good idea. All right, I am redoing most of my factory. And going with the foundation game here. Yeah, I feel like Jeez Louise is the expert. He's the course designer, and he should be the one that makes the call as to whether it's a 1v1 or not. I'm okay to doing it either way. Whatever's going to be the most fun. All right, I know I've got 3 nodes here. And I want to make one node. One node needs to be made. I should have actually made that one. Yeah, well. We're going to do... We need one node to do... Start over here. Okay, there we go. What am I missing? Concrete. Ashi, with the pancreatic juice, what enzymes does it produce? I'm pretty sure it produces enzymes for every biomolecule. It produces enzymes. It produces lipases that break down lipids. It produces proteases that break down proteins and polypeptides. And it produces, I believe, enzymes that break down sugars as well. Or carbs as well. think it's just an all-around mix. It's a good question of, because I always just made the assumption the clear alkaline digestive fluid secreted by the pancreas. Pancreatic juice contains a variety of enzymes, including trypsinogen, chymotrypsinogen, elastase, carboxypeptidase, pancreatic lipase, nucleases, and amylase. Yeah, so basically enzymes for anything you could have that you could imagine. Yes, chief cells release pepsinogen. Notice that the pancreatic juice does not contain pepsinogen. Right? And then the other thing that's in pancreatic juice, aside from these enzymes, is the sodium bicarbonate, which gives it a neutralizing effect on the acidic chyme that is coming from the stomach. Ooh, minor. All right. Let's put this one. Let me think about how I want this set up. What are those other enzymes for? For all of the different biomolecules in different ways. So some of them will break down protein, some of them break down carbs, some of them break down lipids. Let's see. If you look at like trypsinogen, is the precursor to trypsin, which is a protease, which breaks down proteins. Chymotrypsinogen is the precursor to chymotrypsin, which is probably another protease. Yep, breaks down proteins and polypeptides. Elastase, another protein, protein enzyme. Carboxypeptidase, it's probably another protein one. Yep, some of these are just a little more specific in how they're working to digest the protein in different ways. Lipase, this is going to break down lipids. Yep. And then you've got nucleases, which probably break down nucleic acids. Yeah, nucleic acids. Yeah, so this will break down like the DNA or RNA that's in the food you eat. And amylase, which is the one that breaks down carbohydrates. Starches. So it's got a lot of stuff in there. Geez, you're thinking we should still go with the 5 per system, but save 1v1s for extra points, along with team battles. Yeah, what do you mean by team battles? All right, so if I put this in here, we are trying to make let's have this spit it out. Well, actually, if we do this, there's probably going to be enough room like that. No, we want this like this. Boom. We want that way. We want this one like this. Is gonna be tight. Gonna be tight. It's gonna be tight that way too. All right, we'll do like that. And this guy over here. So ultimately, what am I trying to build here? How the pancreas secretes either insulin or glucagon to maintain blood sugar levels is an example of homeostasis in the body, right? Yes. It is a classic example of homeostasis, right? To maintain certain blood sugar levels, you have those two hormones that act to maintain the right balance. This is only putting out 30. These are garbage nodes. 30, and this is what? 30. These are impure nodes. Impure. Well, this is man. Well. This is all bad. All right, time to restart everything. So let's see. What if I want to set up? So I need screws. What up, Drew? How are you? Akash, we should have a test run of each before it starts. Should have a test run of each. Just, yeah, maybe. Just so it goes more smooth. Drew, can I go over the end of the gizmo where you have to label the diagram of the human digestive system? Yeah. Indeed. Are you talking this one right here? The diagram, right? What about it? Do you want me to go over the entire thing? I'm pretty sure you know most of them. What is it that you're struggling with? The one right under the gallbladder. This one? Oh, I see. Yeah, this is actually the duodenum. It's the duodenum or the duodenum. It's this very beginning of the small intestine, right before it connects to the stomach. And then this would be small intestine. Anything else, or is that it? tearing it all down. I'm tearing it all down. We're going to rebuild this. You think that's it? Okay, if you have any other questions, ask away. I will be here. All right, let's do this. Build it up this way. So does this make sense to have two miners here? It gives me 60 ore per second coming out. That's 2 smelters producing 30 ingots. 60 ingots a second. What do these constructors produce? I'm getting 60 ingots per second out of this thing, and these constructors can make 20 iron plates. So I'm getting a total, I'll be able to get a total of 40 iron plates out of this whole thing. Alright, this has to just be a pure iron plate factory. Pure iron plates. Ashi, you know you kind of asked this before, but with the brain triggered response, how does the brain know that the blood glucose levels are low? How does the brain know that the blood glucose levels are low? And then what happens for it to trigger a response? I don't know. I don't know if if it's the actual brain that knows it, or if it's the pancreas that senses it. It may be the pancreas that senses it directly. I could be wrong about that. Because the brain does do a lot of sensing of like levels and trying to regulate the body's, you know, homeostasis. But as far as blood sugar, I feel like it's maybe more based off of an organ sensing, another organ like the pancreas, or maybe even the liver. But it could be the brain too. That's something we might have to look up. That might be a quick research thing, because I'm not 100% sure. The video mentioned brain-triggered hunger response, and yesterday you said it was when you know you're hungry or something like that. Okay, let's look into it. Let's do a little digging. I'm gonna empty these chests real quick just to get these off. Do a little digging. Get to the bottom of it. Man, there's so much chests. There's gotta be a better way to just delete this stuff. There should be a delete all button. That's what they need, is a delete all button in this thing. Alright, let's look it up. All right. Oh, man. Pancreatic regulation of glucose homeostasis. In order to ensure normal body function, the human body is dependent on a tight control of its blood glucose regulations. This is accomplished by a highly sophisticated network of various hormones and neuropeptides released mainly from the brain, pancreas, and liver and intestine, as well as adipose and muscle tissue. So it looks like we're going to be getting into a variety of different body parts all involved in this whole thing. Within this network, the pancreas represents a key player by secreting the blood sugar lowering hormone insulin and its opponent glucagon. However, disturbances in the interplay of the hormones and peptide involved may lead to a metabolic disorder such as type 2 diabetes, whose prevalence, comorbidities, and medical costs take on a dramatic scale. Therefore, it is of the utmost importance to uncover and understand the mechanisms underlying the various interactions to improve existing anti-diabetic therapies and drugs on the one hand, and to develop new therapeutic approaches on the other. This review summarizes the interplay of the pancreas with various other organs and tissues to maintain glucose homeostasis. Okay. So we want to know what is actually sensing the blood glucose. The pancreas has a key role in the regulation of macronutrient digestion. This is a really long article, so we're not going to, most of it's actually references. What is up, Yash? How goes it, my dude? I'm doing good. I'm a little sleepy today. I'm a little low energy if I'm being real. How are you? All right, look at this diagram. Holy. All right, geez, we got a lot here. Let's see if we could get to the bottom of this. Nope. I don't know what that means. All right, let's start with the interplay between the pancreatic islets and other organs. So the islet cells, so that there are cells in the pancreas called islet cells. These are the cells that are responsible for the production of things like insulin. So the brain islet axis is the connection between the brain and these islet cells in the pancreas. External factors. The insulin secretion signaling pathway. This is actually maybe what we care about here. Today we are learning about how your body regulates its blood sugar, and we're trying to dig down to figure out what part of the body is sensing your blood glucose levels to signal the release of insulin or glucagon to rebalance those blood sugar levels to the appropriate level and maintain homeostasis. So the question is the brain what is sensing the blood sugar and sending a signal to the pancreas to release these hormones? Or does the pancreas itself sense it and release the hormones? We're just trying to kind of figure that out. Well, yeah, Ashi, this is going to be answering that question. You just wanted to know the brain triggered hunger response. Right, how does the brain know blood sugar levels are low? Yes, that's what we're trying to figure out. We need to figure out what is sensing your blood sugar levels in the body. Is it the brain? And I think it might be, but let's read the insulin secretion signaling. Endocrine cells secrete their respective hormones in response to external signals such as in nutrient intake or stress via humoral, neural, or hormonal signaling pathways. The underlying molecular process that translates the stimulus into the actual hormone release is called the stimulus-secretion coupling, which is known as the stimulus-dependent exocytosis of a particular substance, such as glucose-stimulated B-cell insulin release. If B cells, beta cells. In beta cells, the main stimulus for insulin release are elevated blood glucose levels following a meal. The circulating blood glucose is taken up by facilitative glucose transporter, GLUT2, which is located on the surface of the beta cells. Wait, are these the ones that are on the pancreas? Yeah, these are pancreatic cells. Once inside the cell, glucose undergoes glycolysis, thereby generating ATP, resulting in an increased ATP to ADP ratio. This altered ratio then leads to the closure of ATP-sensitive potassium channels. Under non-stimulated conditions, those channels are open to ensure the maintenance of a resting potential. Upon closure, the subsequent decrease in the magnitude of the outward-directed potassium currents elicits the depolarization of the membrane, followed by the opening of voltage-dependent calcium channels. This increase in intracellular calcium content triggers the fusion of insulin-containing granules. Biphasic, with the first phase peak around 5 minutes. All right. So, first and foremost, just to summarize what this said, Ashi, it seems that the pancreas itself senses the blood glucose levels. So the pancreas will absorb blood glucose, and that absorption, if it's a high enough amount of absorption of glucose, will trigger insulin responses within the pancreas as well. So it seems like the insulin secretion signaling pathway is contained, one way is actually contained within the pancreas itself. The pancreas can sense blood glucose levels. External factors. The glucose-triggered stimulus secretion coupling is an established paradigm of insulin secretion from beta cells, includes a great variety of modulators that trigger, potentiate, or inhibit. So let's look at the brain one. Oh, you did, Yash? This is like detailed stuff. When will I stream the Olympics? Probably on Friday. Friday is our next day. I posted it in the Discord. Let's see. One of these. Hold on. Just as insulin exerts its effect on other organs and tissues, other organs interact with the pancreas to modulate insulin secretion. One of these interacting organs is the brain, which compromises the mutual brain-islet axis that interacts with the pancreas and vice versa. The pancreas is highly innervated with both parasympathetic and sympathetic nerve fibers from the autonomic nervous system. At the same time, insulin receptors are widely distributed within the brain, including the hypothalamus, cerebral cortex, cerebellum, and hippocampal formation in humans, as well as the olfactory and limbic areas. Hypothalamus, particularly. Okay, so a lot of stuff in the brain. Lesions in the brain are known to affect pancreatic. Interesting. The cephalic phase of digestion is the stage in which the stomach responds to the mere sight, smell, taste, and thought of food. About 20% of total acid secretion occurs before food enters the stomach. These sensory and mental inputs converge on the hypothalamus to induce the responses needed for preparing the gastrointestinal tract for food processing. Okay, so interesting. All right, well, that's kind of a little off base there. Conversely, insulin released in response to a meal enters the brain. So it looks like insulin is released even when you just think about food. This is one of the reasons why people are kind of like... So one of the problems with, drinking a lot of soda or like having a really high, like a very sugar-rich diet is that you can cause type 2 diabetes because you over-release insulin constantly. So the more you eat of sugar, the more it causes your body to release insulin. And then what happens over time is if you do this, imagine just doing this year after year after year for decades of your life, your body, like your muscles and your liver, start to sort of like ignore insulin and like kind of tune it out. They become desensitized to insulin. So what they end up doing is not responding to insulin and not taking the sugar in as they should, because they've been overexposed to insulin for so long. And so a lot of people were like, well, what if we just, why don't we just use artificial sweeteners and that won't trigger an insulin response? Well, it turns out that even the taste of sugar, which includes artificial sweeteners, and even the thought of eating releases insulin. So it could be that it might be helpful a little bit to have like a diet soda that has fake sugar in it than an actual soda. But it's also important to know that even a diet soda is going to trigger an insulin response due to the cephalic phase, right? The anticipatory phase of which is causing your digestive system to start ramping up. So thinking about food 24/7 can also just cause that. So it's probably a minor release. Like I would guess that the vast majority of insulin is released by the actual presence of glucose in the blood. But you can see here, there's a conditioned reflex of increased hormone secretion, referred to as the cephalic phase insulin response, even in the absence of nutrients/glucose as a trigger, such as when anticipating a meal. I don't think you would have to be, I don't think you could just think of a meal without you'd also have to anticipate. I think, I would guess that you have to be actually about to eat a meal. Like if I just think of food, it's probably not going to trigger it. And if it does, it's probably very minor. But I think like the smell of food and the anticipation of actually about to eat food. I mean, we've all experienced like a little bit of that, you salivate a little bit when you think about food or when you're about to eat something that smells really good. So, man, this is a very complicated, there are a lot of acronyms here about different proteins and pathways involved. But it does look like the brain, so that's my guess, is that the insulin is secreted based off of a lot of different factors. The main one is when it detects the presence of glucose in the actual blood after a meal, but also blood sugar is regulated in other ways, just through like brain when you think of a meal, or you're about to eat, the anticipation of eating one. Norepinephrine, which is adrenaline, inhibits insulin secretion, right? So fight or flight response would trigger you to not produce insulin so that you're not absorbing sugar. Also inhibits insulin secretion. I think so, Ashi. I think so. But the hunger response is different, though. Bye, Arya. The hunger response is different. Yeah, exactly, Yash. That makes sense. Although it is a little bit weird because at that point you would think it would be the opposite though, because at that point if the glucose is already in your blood, then it would have already been digested. So you don't have to do any work to digest it. So you would imagine that you might want some insulin to trigger the uptake of the glucose into your muscle cells so that your muscles have more glucose to do more cellular respiration and produce more ATP so that they can be ready to like fight or flight. Like you would think that more glucose in muscles during a time of fight or flight would make more sense, but I don't know. Although I do know that I do know that exercise can activate glucose uptake into muscles regardless of the presence of insulin. So for example, one of the reasons why exercise is considered a really good way to fight type 2 diabetes is because your muscle cells, when they're put under stress, will open to glucose without the need of insulin to trigger it. So maybe just that fact alone is enough for it to work through a fight or flight response. I don't know. Yeah, with type 2 diabetes, you can fight it. Like you can retrain your cells to become more responsive to insulin over time. You just have to like have like a really high fiber diet, like low sugar, high fiber diet, so that you're not getting spikes of insulin, and you work on exercise so that you don't need as much insulin for glucose to be taken into your muscles. And then over time you can reverse it. It's a slow process, but just requires a massive lifestyle shift and a maintained consistent lifestyle shift for long periods of time. Oh no. I don't know, Ashi. I know that there's hormones that are secreted by the brain called leptin and ghrelin, which are regulating your appetite. Did I see that down here somewhere? There's leptin and ghrelin. Leptin is one such molecule secreted in the periphery. Oh, it's secreted by fat tissue, by adipose tissue circulating at levels of body fat in response to acute changes in anything. The primary role of leptin is to signal the amount of stored energy as adipose tissue and regulate energy intake. don't know. I don't know how to look this up. What can we search for this? What triggers hunger instead, maybe? When your stomach is empty, the hormone ghrelin signals your brain you need to intake food. Your body produces more ghrelin during fasting in order to stimulate hunger and produces... So it seems like it's actually maybe even at the level of the stomach. Wait, if we... Hold on a second. If we go back... Wait, where was this? I gotta go back to that one article. This one. No, not this one. This one? No, wait. Where did I... This one. All right, so this was the one that, this was the image that I saw. So this image, see how it shows different hormones involved? So you've got your stomach, which releases ghrelin, which acts here, but I don't know what this is showing. What is this showing? Figure 2. Oh, this is the hypothalamus. Okay. So this is the hypothalamus. These are different regions. These gray circles are different regions or places in the hypothalamus, which is in your brain, the hypothalamus. So it looks like ghrelin is released from the stomach, goes to the hypothalamus in your brain, and this hormone, ghrelin, is an excitatory hormone that stimulates the hypothalamus, which triggers you to your hunger, your appetite. And this is released when your stomach is empty, or you've been fasting. So I think that's the answer to your question. I really do. I think it's the ghrelin that's released from your stomach when it's empty. All right. Let's see. But it's really complicated, Ashi. Like, you'd think that since we've been studying the human body for like hundreds of years, we would have a pretty good grip on it. But there's still so much about it that we don't know. There's so many variables that all like interconnect and cause different reactions and different responses. You know, different parts of the brain connecting with different organs and different... It's just insane. The complicatedness of the human body is extreme. We don't even understand even like a tiniest fraction of what's really going on. Unfortunately. Okay, so I was doing some math here. So I have two miners, each giving me 30 ore a second. These are going to be going into a smelter that's going to give me 30 ingots a second. What's up, Ahana? For the Ed puzzle, it cut a point for the open-ended question. You're going to grade that, or is it... No, it's going to be graded on completion. So as long as you did it, don't worry about your score. If you didn't do very well on the questions, I would recommend that you review. But I'm just going to grade it based off did you do it. Alright, so 30 seconds. So this is going to be 30 per second ore. And this is ore. This is giving me iron. This is giving me ingots. Alright, bye, Hana. Ashi, so it's still sort of being figured out and stuff. There's no clear answer in a sense. Well, there's probably a better answer than what I could dig down to. I bet if you ask somebody who is a, expert, they could give you a better idea. I think the understanding that I have of it is that your appetite is regulated by ghrelin, which is a hormone secreted by your stomach when your stomach is empty or when you've been fasting. And then you eat in response to that. And then when you're eating, the regulation of your blood sugar is also another complicated thing that relies on your pancreas and brain and stuff too. So this would go into a constructor. That's going to be making me 20 plates per second. And then this is going to give me 20 plates per second. So we got 30, so boom, 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 and now I'm at 20 plates per second. So all I'm going to be getting is a total of 40 plates per second. Merge these. Now we have 40 plates per second. And then I'm trying to make and reinforce plates. So this is going to be I believe that this puts out I gotta look at this actually. Oh, this is, sorry, it's per minute, not per second. This puts out 5 plates per minute. It needs 60 screws and 30 plates. 60 screws and 30 plates. So I'm actually overloading the plates in this case. What's up, you're a kid? Could I check Core Protect sometime? Someone has been messing with your newly built barn. Okay. You're not pointing fingers, but it's Appa. Well, that I mean, that is pointing fingers, right? I mean, let's be real. Can I check it on Friday? Is that okay? When I log on? Well, actually, whatever. I can log on right now. But we'll deal with it. I'll look at it right now, but I'll deal with it on Friday. All right, what am I looking at? Okay. So it says that Appa got me a fox. What happened over here? What up, Mr. Chang? So what is it? What is the accusation? The accusation is that Appa stole your fox and gave it to me? Where's your... Okay, all right. One of your foxes, but how do you know? How do you know? What's your proof? How would I prove this with Core Protect? All of your foxes have saddles in their mouth? Remember, Core Protect can only track if a block is... What's up, Kyle? If a block is destroyed or created, right? So there's one fox missing. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, I see 4 foxes in here. You had 5. And so you're saying because one fox didn't have a... So... I don't know if I'm gonna get to the bottom of this. Yeah, it doesn't look like I can get any information on... Yeah, I can't get information on items. I just can't. Does it track that? I don't think it tracks hits, but it might track kills. Thanks for the follow, First Gibbs. Appreciate you. How are you, my dude? Well, he said he has solid proof it was you because there was a... What's up, Tim? He said that he has solid proof because the fox had a saddle in its mouth, and all of his foxes have saddles in their mouth like you see on here. You found a fox wandering near the beacons and you left it at my base. What up, T-Dub? Okay, so there's one missing. I believe that cytokine is missing a fox. Wait, cytokine, there's only 3 here now. You know that, right? How do you... Four, 5, 6. You have 6 foxes. Oh, 3. I'm doing good. I'm a little tired today. A little sleepy, so I'm kind of low energy. Okay. I do like this barn, though. You've really collected quite a collection of species here. Although I don't know if it's a good idea to have a cat up here with all the birds, to be honest. Seems like a recipe for disaster. It's relying on a lot of self-restraint of these cats. Okay, so alright, so here's what I'm hearing. Cytokine, you had a fox with a saddle in its mouth that's no longer here. You found the fox at my base that Appa had dropped off that had a saddle in its mouth. Appa's claiming he found a fox wandering around. You're claiming he took it from your base, from your barn. Thanks for the raid, Gibbs. Appreciate you. Oh. Sorry about that. That's my fault. I wasn't paying attention. I was looking at the raid. So I don't think there's a way for me to there's really no way for me to figure out if Appa took the fox or if it had wandered away, unfortunately. So I can't really say anything in particular. All I can say again is just remember. Remember to just be reasonable. It's clear to me that this barn that's being created over here and the amount of animals that have been stocked in it with the, we see all these horses. I see a bunch of parrots. I see foxes. I see pigs. I see a lot of different animals in here, and it's clear that this is taking some time. So let's just respect the barn. Now, I don't think, if anything, I can't really prove anything, so I don't think I can do much right now. So I'm going back to my other game. Whoa. What up, Hamza? How goes it, my man? Okay, so 40 plates per second, and I know that this thing poops out. What does it do? 5 parts per minute. It needs 30 and 60. 30 and 60. 30 and 60. So I need 60 screws per second in, and I need 30 plates. I'm making 40. How do I scale this properly? So if I do 2... If I do 2 assemblers, then I'll have a total demand. Actually, 2 assemblers is probably what I'm going to want to do for this, because then it's 60 iron plates and 120 screws. And 60 iron plates would just need to add 1 more impure. So then if this would all require 60 per second and 120 per second as far as plates and screws are concerned. So if we have 60 plates. So right now with these two impure nodes of ore, I'm able to get 40 plates per second. If I want to scale it up to 2 assemblies, I need 60 plates per second, which means either I find one more impure node to make plates off of, or I find a pure node and make plates off that, and then only use one of these impure nodes and use the other node for screws. Now, in order to make 120 plates per second, actually, you know what I should do? I already have excess screws that I'm making. I'm already making 120 screws per second. I can import those screws and set up a 2 assembly system by bringing in the screws, splitting them, and then this doesn't even need to be, you know what? You know what? That doesn't even need to exist. What up, Mr. Chang? Bye, Ashi. Have a good night. I don't think anyone understands what you're saying, Mr. Chang, because right now I don't have the restream chat. It's just if I change the Twitch chat and I put the restream chat. Oh, it's on the wrong side. Then they can see your YouTube message. But the Twitch chat is the Twitch chat is so much better than YouTube or Restream. You know? What up, Mouse Pillow? How are ya? All right, what are these? Are these impure nodes? Favorite food. Oh, there's a node here. Wait, how am I gonna do this? This is a pure node. Doesn't matter, I can always come on. My favorite food? That's a pretty hard question to answer. This is gonna be 60 per minute, so this is a pure node. And I believe that this is a pure node as well. These are all pure, yeah, 60. I would say my favorite food, I'm a big fan of Thai food. Pad Ki Mao, Pad Se Ew, Tom Kha soup. What else? You know, Pad Thai is great. Chicken satay. I like Thai food a lot. I like, and I'll never turn down a nice burrito or some delicious tacos. I feel like I like all kinds of food, so when you ask me what's my favorite food, it's very, you're asking me a question where there's not a simple answer. So the screws are gonna come in this way. Tom Kha, that was what got me hooked on Thai food. When I first had the Tom Kha soup, I was like, what is this? The problem that I have with Tom Kha right now is I ruined it for myself because I tried eating it after I had gotten nose surgery. I had broken my nose in Jiu-Jitsu like and it needed a little bit of surgery. I also just had like a naturally deviated septum. So I had a deviated septum just from like a genetic perspective. And then when I got my nose broken in jiu-jitsu, it you know, had some issues. It like detached the cartilage on one side. So I had to get that surgery. Anyway, I tried to eat some Tom Kha soup after my surgery, but it didn't sit well with me, and I ended up throwing up because the painkillers kind of caused me a lot of nausea. And so now Tom Kha soup is kind of ruined for me for a while, fortunately. What was the food I ate for a very long time? I mean, I'm relatively notorious for eating the same thing over and over again, but that's just for convenience sake. When I go to work, like when I'm working, I tend to just do a put that this way, I think. What do I want it to go that way? Probably better to go. I'll do that way. So I'll have this be. This is going to be producing. This is 60 per second, so I need to smell. I need a splitter right off the bat. I'm going to split this bad boy. But actually first we need to lay some foundation here. Give us some room. So for a while I used to eat, one of my first YouTube videos that I made was highlighting the diet that I have. So if you watch that like short 8-minute video, it's going to have like everything in there from... I used to get like stuff from Trader Joe's. Like I'd buy like little like different kinds of packaged veggies and some like grilled chicken stuff, and I would mix it together. I would cook like salmon and put that in with some other mixed veggies for dinner. It was basically the same setup every week. I would make it on Sunday. What up, Moaz? How you doing? Haven't seen you in a while, Moz. How have you been? I'll play some foundation here. You meant the food you ate for 2 years straight, Monday through Friday? Yeah, that's what it was. That's exactly what I'm talking about. I would eat the same breakfast, lunch, and dinner for 2 years straight. With the exception of weekends. Like on weekends, I would eat whatever, you know, whatever I wanted. Thanks, Moz. My background is, yeah, it's a nice little, I like the lights. You're at ASU. Nice. How do you like Arizona State? Glad to see that you can keep yourself entertained, Mr. Chang. Oh, this is so annoying. All right, we'll go like that. We'll do that. I'm going to split this into 2 smelters. Smelters will go this way, or no, maybe this way, smelting this way. Do I put butter in my coffee? I used to. Back when I was I don't even know what I was. Back when I was like on that. So I tried the keto thing for a while. Didn't really work out for me. There was a period of my life, I would say there was like a 2-year stretch of my life where I was like extremely dedicated to discipline in terms of diet and exercise. And so it was like a period of time where I was like hardcore doing jujitsu like every day for like 2 or 3 hours, and working out in the weight room and eating perfectly clean. And what did it do for me? Good question. I mean, it was good, but it was too much. Like, it was good way to make sure I was like disciplined. It helped me, like I was in the best shape of my life. I won a lot. I like won jiu-jitsu competitions. I was pretty incredibly like disciplined in maintaining my performance in that. But at the end of the day, it can be a little bit much. And there's like, at a certain point you can't, I felt like I couldn't sustain that level of like insanity. I may have, but the problem is it was also not like the best, like mentally maybe, I don't know, like mentally, I don't know. It's hard to say. Like, I've kind of eased up on all that hardcoreness for a few reasons. Like, one, I tore both my ACLs during jiu-jitsu, so like that kind of eliminated any ability for me to like continue. And then two, I don't know. The other thing is, you know what happens is you get to a point in your life where you start to think like, what am I trying to do? Like, do I really need to go this hard? Like, what am I trying to prove? And I think for me, I recognize that my like dedication to all that was me trying to prove to myself that like I could do something that was very difficult. And I think I got all that I needed out of it. I was like, okay, I proved it to myself. I could do this for a couple years. But at a certain point, I just got to a point where I was like, yeah, okay, I got it. Good. Not much else I need to really do. Am I wearing green? No. I'm not wearing green. Even though I do have Irish heritage, my grandmother's Irish. I've applied for my Irish citizenship, which should be, I applied for like over a year ago for my citizenship from Ireland. What up, Gina? But I think it's been delayed because of COVID stuff. So I'm looking forward to the day when I get that message, I get that letter in the mail claiming my Irish citizenship has finally arrived. Why can't I do foundation here? Oh, because the hub is interrupting it? What if I did like a 2x1? No. Maz, was there an interesting story or tipping point that inspired my focus on diet? I don't know. I was in a point in my life where I had like gotten out of a relationship and I was going through like, I was like, all right, what am I going to do? And so I decided to focus on like, being really into like health, I think. And so I did a lot of like research on diet and, that kind of thing. Actually, we can make this closer. This doesn't need to be so far away. And so that became one of the things that I focused on, and I was getting into jiu-jitsu competitively, and so I felt like I wanted a diet that could help me perform well as well on top of that. So that's kind of where it stemmed from. Did the TFT seem interesting from the guide I showed you? Yeah, it looked good. I think I just have a lot of different games right now that I've been interested in playing. So that one is sort of kind of lower on the priority list at this point. Okay, so that should be good enough there. These are going to be giving me iron ingots. Now, these are making 30 per minute. 30 per minute. And this constructor, let me see real quick, what are we going to get out of this? If I'm making iron plates out of this thing, this is going to take in 30 per minute and give me 20 ingots. 30 per minute. 30 per minute. 30 per minute. So, I mean, these literally can just go to... This game is on my list, Joe, and then next after this is Valheim. And then after Valheim, I don't know, maybe Subnautica. You ate bland for 2 years after Mr. Jones made fun of me for eating everything raw, but I saw great results in the gym as well from eating that bland, very similar to Mr. Jones. Because years went on, I found myself binging on unhealthy food due to lack of satiation. When you say you ate everything raw, do you mean like are you talking about when you say you ate everything raw? I'm assuming you mean I'm assuming you mean when you say raw, like unprocessed. Not like raw as in like uncooked, right? Can I do this to save space? Or is this gonna mess everything up? No, I gotta go like this. Unprocessed, got it. I didn't know if you were getting crazy and you're like eating raw chicken, and I was like, dude, that's not good for you. Like, I think you can actually die like that from that. Like salmonella. Yep, type 1 diabetes is genetic. Yeah, people get... Here's the thing. Okay, here's what I've learned about diet. No one knows what a good diet is. No one knows. Like, there's still... The amount of arguments that people have about what you should and shouldn't eat is still, to this day, like, you have completely... Like, the only thing that people can seem to agree on with diet is that you probably shouldn't eat too much, like, straight sugar and, like, processed foods. Most people agree on that. But then there's like the whole camp of like you need to eat nothing but meat, and like meat and fat is great for you. And then there's the camp of like you want to avoid meat and fat and eat healthy, vegetables with high fiber and stuff like that. And like they both have all the studies to show it. And like after doing a lot of research, I recognized like, okay, look, I don't even know if anyone really knows what's going on here. So I'm going to follow the general guidelines that people say for healthy eating. But I'm not going to put too much stock in like the perfect diet that is like max out everything. Okay, so now I've got that set up. These are going to put out my plates. These have to go to an assembler, which could be like literally right there. So I'll do this. Let's do. Mr. Chang, it really depends on your body and how much you exercise. There are some people I know that aren't vegetarians, but their body can't take meat. Moz, you agree 100%. We're still figuring things out right now. I think people should experiment and figure out for themselves. Yeah, but what's really annoying, Moz, is that like nutrition science has been around forever and we still haven't figured it out. Like there's still like fundamental disagreements about whether or not something like saturated fat has a place in the diet or not. There's still fundamental disagreements about is it possible to eat too much meat. Like now, when I say fundamental disagreements, I think maybe when I say fundamental disagreements, actually, I think most people, the general, like if you ask most nutrition scientists, not vast, but like most of them would say high fiber vegetables and unsaturated fats from things like nuts, avocados, maybe fish. Fish can provide you some good unsaturated fats. And most people would say stay away from red meat. But there's a huge portion of people that are like really on this like red meat kick lately. Like I don't know where it came from. It might have come from a little bit of like pushback. But the thing about diet is that diet is so, there's a lot more to diet than strictly your, is that right? No. There's a lot more to diet than health, right? I think health is an important factor when you're considering diet, but on top of that, you have to think about a lot of other things. There's some people, it's price. Some people just don't have the financial means to have like the best, healthiest diet. They can't go to Whole Foods and pay like, $200 for like 3 days worth of groceries. Right? So some people have financial limitations on what their diet can be. Some people have cultural limitations, right? Culture plays a huge role in what you eat, right? Like, some people have, religious, well, I guess cultural and religious kind of go together. Then there's like the taste factor, like you just like what you want to eat, you like certain things. There's allergies. And then even on top of all that, then you can get into like the ethical stuff about diets. Like, is it ethical to eat meat from factory farms? Like, is that something that you want to factor into your diet? Like, there's so many different factors to consider that there's no easy answer to it, unfortunately. The stress hormone adrenaline increases blood sugar levels, while another stress hormone, cortisol, increases insulin resistance. What effects might acute or chronic stress have on a healthy person? What acute effects? On a healthy person, on a person with diabetes. Okay, so, all right. So first of all, that question you have to think about. If you are a healthy person, you don't have to really worry too much about insulin insensitivity. Your body should respond to insulin normally. So that means that if you acute stress, which would be adrenaline, right? When we say acute, what we mean by acute is like fight or flight stress, the stress that you get when you are about to give like a speech in front of a class or right before a sports competition, or it's something that's occurring right before or in the process of a high stakes endeavor. When we say chronic stress, we're talking about the stress associated with, like, I would say maybe like a really stressful job, or the stress associated with like maybe like a relationship stress that's lasting over many months and years, right? So if you're a healthy person, during acute stress, you have an increase in insulin, right? Or excuse me, an increase in adrenaline. That adrenaline causes your blood sugar levels to go up. That should be totally fine for you if you're a normal healthy person, because your body will be able to handle the glucose levels with insulin, and you should be fine. So your body will respond to the increase in glucose and release insulin and bring your glucose back down, and you should be fine. Secondly, if you're a healthy person with chronic stress, what that could do over time is lead you towards an unhealthy situation, because now you have cortisol, right, which is causing insulin resistance. And if you're a healthy person that's experiencing a lot of stress for a long period of time, that insulin resistance could eventually lead you to type 2 diabetes down the road. Now, if you combine that chronic stress with poor diet, like a diet high in sugar, it's going to exacerbate the whole situation, obviously. Now, if you're a person that already has diabetes and you're under acute stress and the adrenaline is increasing, causing your blood sugar levels to go up, that's a problem, because now if you have diabetes, you're not going to respond to the increase in glucose like a healthy person would. And what you're going to end up with is potentially hyperglycemia, which is when your blood sugar levels are too high, right? If that happens, that increases your hyperglycemia causes an increase in blood pressure. Now, why is blood pressure bad? Well, high blood pressure causes stress on the linings of your arteries, which can stretch them and cause what are called micro tears to develop. And these micro tears can eventually lead to clots and what's called atherosclerosis and plaques forming in them. And then it can eventually lead to clots, which can lead to heart attacks and strokes, right? So there's a downstream effect of this that we have to be careful about. Actually, I gotta go this side. Now, the final scenario there is if you're a person with type 2 diabetes that undergoes chronic stress and you're releasing cortisol, it's just going to exacerbate or make worse your diabetes, because you already have insulin resistance. If we're calling it type 1, or excuse me, if we're calling it type 2, you already have insulin resistance, right? So now what's going to happen is you're going to have even more insulin resistance, because you have this cortisol being released constantly, because you're under some under some chronic stress from, maybe a relationship or a job or something. What am I doing in Satisfactory right now? I'm just setting up I'm setting up an assembler right now to produce reinforced steel plates, because my goal right now, I am trying to set up I'm trying to get tier 3, so I need to send some stuff on the space elevator. So I got to get those whatever the thing is called. I don't know what it's called. When you combine rotors with, I'm combining rotors, which I have already set up, with reinforced steel plates to make whatever that thing is. Is this right? Is this gonna work? Oh no, don't tell me this is gonna be all messed up. Am I actually gonna be able to make this clean? Please let me make this a clean turn. Oh yes, it's a clean. All right, 1 second. My pup is yelping right now. I will be right back. I see some people. Ace, I'll be right back. What's up, T-Chili? First time playing Satisfactory? First time, yeah. I've been playing it for like 15, 20 hours. Be right back. Boy. Oh. Wait, did you guys see my dog yet? I know some of you didn't. Some of you are new. This is Jameson. He's almost 5 months old. He's obviously like a pit mixed. Got him a couple weeks ago. He's a cutie. He's a sweetheart, little buddy. He just woke up. Alright. All right, so let me get to some of your questions. You felt acute stress when you asked me. You felt acute stress when you asked my group to present to the class on fracking. That will do it. Class presentations are classic acute stress. But one of the interesting things, Maz, about acute stress is that turns out if you, depending on how you frame the stress that you're experiencing, it has very different results on your overall health. So for example, if you frame stress as like, this is my body getting ready for some sort of like high stakes important event, then it actually is what's called eustress, which is a positive stress that's actually beneficial for your health and can actually increase your performance. But if you think of it as like bad, then it sort of, the way you frame the stress actually has a pretty decent, a pretty important impact on the outcome of it. Come here, buddy. What are you doing over there? So I'm gonna be a little more distracted now that he's out of his kennel, out of his crate, because he woke up. So I have to keep an eye on him. He's still young enough where we've almost got him completely potty trained, but it's still possible for him to have accidents here and there, so I got to keep a little bit of an eye on him. Well, let's see. Very sure. Yeah, I don't get the whole, like, people get really attached to their ideologies, and it's just to me, I just don't understand the attachment to something like diet as such an important thing. I can understand, I guess I do have some sympathy for a person who is like a staunch vegan, because it makes sense to me that if it's kind of like this, it's kind of, So not necessarily that I agree 100% with the viewpoint, but you can at least understand and sympathize with a person who's a staunch vegan in a, kind of in a similar way that you can sympathize with, not necessarily agree with, but sympathize with a person who's a staunch, like, pro-life person or like an anti-abortion person. Because, right, if they truly believe, right, so for in the case of like a vegan, if they truly believe that it is morally wrong to subject animals to suffering and that kind of stuff, then people that eat meat are just being part of that system. And like, you could understand that they feel like they have a moral obligation to intervene on behalf of the animals, right? Like, you can understand that. Whether or not you agree with their reasoning, you can at least understand and sympathize with their justification. Right, so like the idea being like people that are anti-abortion, you could understand like if they truly believe that when you abort a child, you're killing a life, like if they truly believe it's murder, then you could understand them being extremely like passionate about like preventing people from getting abortions, because for them it's like we're preventing people from being murdered. Now you don't have to agree with their reasoning, and you can argue that, but like the idea is that like I can kind of understand it. Now, when you talk about being a carnivore, it's harder to justify from any sort of like standpoint other than just I think it's better for my body and it tastes better and that kind of thing. I don't feel like there's as persuasive of a moral argument there, personally. This is just a nightmare of wires here. Why did you choose to focus on learning about environmental science and human health? You seem to know a lot regarding those broad topics. So Maz, I mean, I went to school for biology, but the thing about teaching high school is that you get a degree in like biology or something, right? What you end up teaching is one, biology, which I do, but then I had to teach. I was assigned to teach in physiology class, so I had to learn about physiology. Then I was assigned to teach an AP environmental science class, so I had to learn about environmental science. So there's a lot of like on-the-job learning you have to do as a high school teacher to teach these classes effectively. So what ended up happening is I took my background in biology and I had to expand it to a more nuanced and detailed understanding of environmental science and physiology in particular, like the human body and human health. On top of that, I just generally was interested in human health just for my own purposes, so I learned a lot about it that way too. All right, what's not being powered here? Oh, I forgot. I have to turn. Okay, 1 second. Mr. Jones, you probably don't remember, but I asked you sometime back how I could convince my parents to get a dog. Well, that didn't happen, but we did get a cat. Nice. You got a cat. What's the name? What'd you name it? Pass. Yeah, you finally convinced my parents to get a cat. Yeah, people are getting animals during quarantine for sure. Yeah, I call myself a practical vegan, and what I mean by practical vegan is the vast majority of my diet is vegan. Like if I go to a grocery store, I purchase, I eat a lot of Beyond Meat. I purchase vegan cheese. I purchase, my diet is mostly based off of vegetables. But I don't think that the way I look at veganism is, sure, you could be the martyr and not eat any animal products at all and make up for those people that eat a lot of animal products. Like you could be that. You could martyr yourself and you could be like, that's what I'm going to do. And I respect that. I think that's awesome to do that. It's not the kind of person I am. So the way I look at it is, let me think, if I should behave in such a way, whereas if everyone acted the way I act, we probably wouldn't have the more moral or ethical and environmental issues associated with meat production, meaning eat very little, you treat it as a special occasion, and like have it, maybe when you go out to eat, like to a nice meal, rather than eating it every meal, right? Because I think the way a lot of people treat meat is just it's the main course for every meal of their life. And I think that's unsustainable. So I kind of think, well, what would be the ideal for everybody? Well, if everyone treated meat as a little bit of like a nice thing to have, but not part of every single meal. Maybe you eat it like a couple, like even once a week. Like you go out and treat yourself to a nice meal once a week, or you decide I'm going to enjoy meat once or twice a week versus like 20 times a week, right? That's the way I think about it. So yeah, when I buy stuff from the grocery store for my like regular meals, it's always with a vegan mindset. And then although I will say the one thing that's really difficult for me to do vegan is ice cream. Ice cream and cheese, very difficult. And I try and justify it in my head, but I do know that a lot of dairy comes from like pretty inhumane conditions. But I think again, if everyone was more moderate with their consumption, I think it would be fine. So I'm almost like, I'm not going to let the fact that everyone is an over-consumer ruin my enjoyment of life. So I'm gonna indulge once in a while. But I understand the people that martyr themselves and say, I'm never going to do it because it's the best way to go. Leo. But you're going to change it to Mirage, deeper meaning. Nice. Yeah. Change it to whatever you think is the best, dude. Okay, so this thing is set up. The screws are coming in at a mile a minute here. This thing is going to go. Once I get everything going here. Oh, that's what I was going to do. I forgot to build this thing, awesome sink. Vascular calcification synonymous with atherosclerosis? I think so. That sounds right. I've never heard the term vascular calcification, but I'm pretty sure that that's synonymous. Vascular calcification. Vascular calcification are mineral deposits on the walls of your arteries and veins. These mineral deposits sometimes stick to fat deposits or plaques that are built up on the walls of blood vessels. Actually, no, it looks like they're different. They're not the same thing, Yash. Because calcification is different than a plaque, which is what atherosclerosis is. So I believe the difference here is that calcification is a mineral deposit, whereas atherosclerosis is a plaque deposit, which tends to be cholesterol and fat-based. Right, so this is calcium, right? Jeez, why did this jump me all the way down to the bottom of this page? Teacher Lee, yeah, I'm still running biomass burners. I haven't gotten to coal yet, unfortunately. Whereas atherosclerosis is plaque. And let's see, just what is plaque? I'm pretty sure it's like cholesterol based. Plaque is a fat, cholesterol, and calcium and other substances. So there's probably some similarities between the two, but they're definitely distinct because atherosclerosis is more based off fat and cholesterol. Atherosclerosis versus vascular calcification. Calcification is a clinical marker of atherosclerosis. Calcification in atherosclerosis. Yeah, it seems like there's some crossover there, but not exactly the same thing. T Chili, if you're still there, when do you get coal burners? When do you move on to away from biomass so I don't have to like grind for leaves and sticks anymore? Okay, this is set up. This is producing. Actually, what I need to do is make a storage container over here real quick. Alright, I gotta get rid of this storage container, but it has a ton. Actually, I don't need all these screws right now on me. I can free up a little inventory space here and hopefully destroy this. Oh man, I got all these rotors. I need these rotors though. That's the issue. What can I get rid of? I don't need those iron plates. Actually, I can toss that wood in there. Let's get rid of these. And get rid of these. You need to do stage 1 of the space elevator. Okay, that's what I'm working on right now. So T-Chili, I have up there, I don't know if you can see, there's a little setup that's producing those rotors. And then what I'm doing right now is setting up some production of the reinforced steel plates. I'm going to combine those, and that'll get me to my space elevator stage 1, I think. So I'm almost there. So is Satisfactory like Minecraft with focus on making factories? No, I wouldn't say Satisfactory is at all like Minecraft. Minecraft is much more exploratory, and this game is all about automating crafting. So it's about starting from the base, like gathering the ores and base ingredients, and scaling that up to making more and more complicated parts with parts that come before it. So you take the ore, you smelt it into ingots, you take the ingots, you combine it into whatever, like steel rods or plates, and those can be turned into like reinforced plates, which can be turned into motors, which can be turned into da-da-da-da-da. And there's like a tree of materials that you can generate. And the goal, actually, T-Chili, what is the goal of this game? Like, what's the end point? Like, what are you trying to do in the end of this game? Because, like, in Factorio, the end goal was to get off, to send a satellite into space or something like that, or send a spaceship off. And then in Dyson Sphere program, the goal of that game was to create a Dyson Sphere, basically, and harness the energy of a sun. But what is this game? What's the goal? Thanks for the follow. Appreciate you, Chunky Bong. Sounds like Minecraft, because a lot of people like automating resource production. Yeah, but the thing is, Minecraft is not built for automation. Like, you have to do a lot of, like, weird stuff. This game is, like, the whole point is automation. And I'm going to clean up these wires. These wires are actually annoying me. These are just not clean. We can make this cleaner. Let's build the storage container here. Oh, the storyline's not yet. Okay, yeah, this is still early access, so there's no... no storyline. Yep, otherwise build. Yep, that seems to be the case. Alright. Oh man, I kind of just... The problem with this game is I keep running out of energy. 22, 22, none, 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 none. Shoot. I'm so screwed. I don't even have enough energy to keep... Oh man. If I were you, would not focus on coupons. Oh, really? Okay. Right now, what I need to focus on is, like, getting my biofuels back, because I ran out. I used up all the biofuels. Alright. I'm gonna grab... Let me just grab like 22 of these. Alright, time to go. Get a bunch of stuff. Alright, what's your question, Yash? Or what are you talking about? You didn't mean to say vessel rigidity, but rather arterial stiffness, and how fat deposits versus calcium deposits in the vessel change the relative stiffness. I think that the fatty deposits would allow the vessels to maintain its flexibility, but what do you think? Well, as far as I'm understanding, it's still really stiff. The atherosclerosis is still causing a stiffness to the arteries. But I would guess maybe not as stiff as calcification, because calcification is extremely stiff. Like, that stuff is really, really hard. Like, I have calcification in my ears from jiu-jitsu, like cauliflower ear, and that stuff is just like rock solid. So I would imagine it causes pretty stiff arteries. Whereas plaque from atherosclerosis and like cholesterol and fat, it's still hard. It's still not good, but probably not as hard. But I don't know. That's just me sort of talking very educated guess. Also, turn off parts of the factory that are not useful for now. Thanks for the follow, T Chili. Yeah, see, that was my problem. I was just leaving stuff on. Okay, I can't get this one. Stuck. Why? Wait. Did I run out of... Why is this not allowing me to cut this? There we go. How do you get cauliflower ears from jiu-jitsu or judo? Well, it's about like constant friction and constant like wear and tear on them. So one of the things with jiu-jitsu and judo, especially jiu-jitsu, like wrestling, any time where you're constantly having your ears get like bumped or rubbed or scraped or friction applied to them, over time what that causes is fluid to like build up within the cartilage of the ear. And then that fluid, because your ears have no place to because you have no place to, your ears can't drain that fluid. Oh, my inventory, wait, oh no, T-Chili. I haven't even been collecting any of that stuff I've been mining. I feel like inventory space is really hard in this game. I'm gonna put all these rotors. I forgot I had picked up all these rotor engines. So this is where all my rotors are being produced, so I might as well just put these in there. And then I've got some biofuel for that. I don't need this right now. Maybe later. What? Ugh, I had let him out like 10 minutes ago. It's not that bad, Moz. Cauliflower ear is not that bad. It's kind of annoying, but the most annoying part about it is it's not like once it's actually solidified and it's hardened. The annoying part about it is is when it's not actually hard yet, but like when you've got like a big ball of fluid inside the ear, it's very painful. And you know, you can take like a needle and like stick it in there and try and drain the fluid out, but my issue is it kept refilling. So what you have to do is like clamp it somehow, like drain the fluid and then clamp the ear so that it doesn't refill. And so you have to wear like this clamp on your ear for like at least like a couple days, and that clamp is really painful. So I don't really mind the after effects of it. You know, some people have it really bad where it just looks really gnarly. Mine's minor, very minor. Did you know there is a brand new update on the experimental version? Yeah, I saw that. I don't know what that even means, like experimental version of the game. Is the early access game not also the same thing as the experimental one? Wait, these big trees don't give you more wood than the other ones? That gives you 29 wood, and then how much does this give you? Oh, I guess it does give you more. Okay. Yeah, but it's still painful, Maz. Like, it's still bad. Like, ugh. I just remember trying to sleep with those clamps on. It's just the worst. And it's hard to get them perfect. Okay. All right. I think I'm going to call it a night. It's 10 o'clock, so I'm going to get out of here. Thanks for the help, T-Chili. Yeah, once I have enough biofuel, I can get my whole factory up and running to produce enough stuff to then get to the space elevator, the first space elevator thing. here. So I have to make this manually because I don't have any energy to actually power this. Oh man, I have to hold this down. That's true, Moz. 'Tis true. What if I just direct enough power? Alright, well, that's okay. Alright, I'll figure this out tomorrow. Alright, well, it was nice chatting with you, Moz. Thanks for stopping in. Nice seeing you again. I hope things are good at ASU and you stop by again. I'm always on. I stream pretty much. I don't stream it on YouTube except on Wednesdays. Most of the days I stream on Twitch, so from about 6:30 to 9:30ish every day, or 7 to 9:30 every day. So, except Sundays. So, if you have a Twitch account or you want to come on Twitch, I'll be there. But other than that, I will see you later.